Welcome to AI in Marketing. I am your host and news curator, Stan Bertolo from Nitro Marketing. You will find links to all the stories mentioned in this episode in the show notes.
Hey everyone, I'm Maya.
And I'm Daniel. Let's dive into today's topics.
So, Daniel, two AI systems have recently shown they can perform as well as or even better than doctors in simulated clinical settings. This was reported in studies published in Nature.
That's right, Maya. One of these systems is MIRA, developed by the Els Kroner-Fresenius Center for Digital Health. It operates in a simulated electronic health record environment, where it can conduct patient interviews, order tests, prescribe medications, and even recommend hospital admissions.
In tests involving emergency department cases, MIRA actually outperformed a panel of physicians in diagnostic accuracy. However, it did order more blood tests than doctors typically would.
Dr. Wei Sheng from the University of Sheffield noted that MIRA's strength lies in conditions with clear test results, like appendicitis and pancreatitis. But the advantage is smaller for more common conditions, like pneumonia and urinary tract infections.
The second system, AMIE by Google, manages chronic conditions over multiple visits. It was tested against 21 primary care physicians in 100 scenarios based on UK clinical guidelines.
AMIE matched clinicians in management reasoning and excelled in plan preciseness and guideline alignment. It's built on Gemini models and combines an empathetic dialogue agent with a management reasoning system.
However, Alfonso Valencia from the Barcelona Supercomputing Center pointed out that AMIE isn't open source, which limits independent evaluation.
Experts also caution that neither system is ready for clinical deployment, as they were tested in controlled environments with simulated patients. They can't perform physical exams or interpret nonverbal cues, which are crucial in real clinical encounters.
Google has started a nationwide study to evaluate AMIE in real-world virtual care settings.
Moving on, Telepatia, an AI clinical assistant for Latin America, has raised $33 million in Series A funding, led by Andreessen Horowitz.
Their goal is to reach half of the region's 1.9 million doctors by 2027. Currently, the tool serves 14 million patients across Brazil, Colombia, Mexico, Chile, and Argentina.
CEO Nicholas Abad, who was motivated by his father's death due to a preventable drug interaction, describes the product as a second brain for the doctor.
Telepatia's clients include major hospital groups and public health networks. As AI regulation develops in Brazil and Colombia, the company plans to expand to India, Africa, and Southeast Asia.
A new Pew Research study reveals that only 16% of Americans think AI will have a positive impact on society over the next 20 years.
Meanwhile, 40% foresee a negative impact. Despite AI's growing role in daily life, skepticism remains high.
Indeed, 67% doubt government regulation, and 59% don't trust companies to develop AI safely. Young people under 30 are particularly pessimistic, with only 14% expecting positive societal effects.
Nearly 2/3 of Americans feel AI development is progressing too rapidly, yet AI usage is widespread, with 25% of Americans using AI chatbots daily, mainly for research or work.
ChatGPT is the most popular, used by 44% of US adults, followed by Gemini, Copilot, and Meta AI. There's a gender divide too, with men more likely to use AI and express enthusiasm.
AI is also changing how people consume information, with 60% of respondents reading AI-generated summaries. However, about half of Americans, especially those over 65, don't use AI, citing disinterest.
At the G7 summit, leaders like French President Emmanuel Macron and Indian Prime Minister Narendra Modi expressed concerns about the US potentially restricting access to its advanced AI models.
Macron highlighted the risk of the US abruptly cutting off AI model access, a concern following the Trump administration's decision to block Anthropic's Mythos 5 and Fable 5 models due to national security concerns.
This move, prompted by Amazon's warnings about bypassable safety features, has raised alarms about the reliability of US AI infrastructure for international companies.
Modi emphasized the need for democratic nations to have unrestricted access to AI models to safeguard critical infrastructure.
G7 leaders discussed a trusted partners scheme to allow non-US nations access to advanced AI models, aiming to create an open trade network circumventing US restrictions.
However, the feasibility and scope of this scheme remain uncertain. Macron suggested that Washington should support broader access to AI models to prevent losing international customers due to sudden access revocations.
The Trump administration has imposed export controls on Anthropic's advanced AI technology, Claude Mythos, due to concerns about SK Telecom's alleged ties to China.
The White House ordered Anthropic to revoke SK Telecom's access to the AI model, citing national security risks.
This decision came after Amazon flagged vulnerabilities in Fable 5, a version of Mythos, which could potentially be exploited to access its cyber capabilities.
Although Anthropic and cybersecurity experts argue these risks aren't unique to Claude, the administration remains unconvinced of Anthropic's ability to safeguard the technology.
Consequently, Anthropic disabled access to the models for all foreign nationals, including immigrants in the US, to avoid nationality-based restrictions.
SK Telecom, part of the SK Group with extensive business interests in China, has denied any ties to the country.
Despite generating minimal revenue from China, SK Telecom's historical involvement with China Unicom, a state-owned telecom operator, has raised concerns.
The White House's stance reflects broader efforts to limit Chinese influence in sensitive sectors.
Privacy experts are concerned about the UK's proposed ban on social media access for minors, aiming to protect children from online harm.
The legislation would restrict their use of platforms like Facebook, Instagram, and TikTok. However, experts argue it could infringe on privacy rights and may not effectively address the root causes of online risks.
Critics highlight that such measures could drive minors to use unregulated platforms, potentially exposing them to greater dangers.
There's also concern about the feasibility of enforcing age verification without compromising user privacy.
The proposal has sparked a debate about balancing child safety with privacy rights, as well as the role of parental responsibility in monitoring online activity.
Some suggest that education and digital literacy initiatives might be more effective in safeguarding minors.
AI has democratized thought leadership, making it easier for anyone to generate compelling ideas. But this has led to a saturation of indistinguishable content.
Leaders now need to stand out by offering proof, risk, and perspectives rooted in lived experience.
Authenticity, often strategically manufactured online, is no longer sufficient. Leaders must demonstrate what they risk by sharing their views and provide evidence of their achievements.
The expansion of Fortune 500 executive teams by 23% since 2018 shows the growing number of leaders, but the scarcity of genuine thought leadership remains.
To differentiate themselves, leaders should focus on curating conviction rather than scaling content. This means shifting from content quotas to meaningful conversations.
ServiceNow has launched a bold campaign emphasizing the difference between AI that merely suggests and AI that executes.
The campaign humorously depicts scenarios where professionals stop at advice rather than action, highlighting ServiceNow's capability to process billions of workflows and transactions.
Meanwhile, Levi's cleverly responded to World Cup censorship, where FIFA's efforts to obscure logos inadvertently made Levi's branding more prominent.
Mischief, a creative agency, is making waves at Cannes, and an agency founder offers advice on navigating the current job market.
The Miller Time MVP match ball is also attracting attention, selling for $1,000 on the aftermarket.
Curation is becoming crucial for building trust and authority in the information landscape. The overwhelming volume of content, accelerated by generative AI, has surpassed human capacity to consume and assess it.
Trust is increasingly shifting from large institutions to familiar, individual voices. People seek guidance from those they recognize and align with.
The 2026 Edelman Trust Barometer shows a societal move towards insularity, with trust relocating to personal and local relationships.
Experts who can act as trusted filters gain an advantage by helping people navigate uncertainty and make informed decisions.
The need for orientation over information is further underscored by the Reuters Institute Digital News Report 2026, which reveals a decline in global trust in news.
Despite this, people continue to use these channels for convenience, highlighting a gap between ease of access and trustworthiness.
This gap presents an opportunity for curators to provide clarity and direction amidst cognitive overload and information abundance.
AI's growing demand for hardware is impacting Apple, potentially leading to increased prices for its products.
Outgoing CEO Tim Cook has warned that the cost of memory and storage chips has surged fourfold, making price hikes unavoidable despite Apple's efforts to absorb these costs.
Cook didn't specify which products would be affected or when the increases would occur, but the iPhone is likely to be impacted, especially with the next model expected in September.
The Financial Times reports that Apple might need to add $270 to the next iPhone Pro to maintain its profit margin.
The company is also under pressure to refine its AI strategy, having settled a $250 million lawsuit earlier this year for not delivering promised AI features.
Recent developments, like improvements to Siri, indicate progress, but increased on-device processing could further drive up memory needs, potentially resulting in higher consumer prices for Apple products.
That's all for today.
Thanks for tuning in. See you next time.
Thank you for tuning in to AI and Marketing. If you want to learn more, check out the episode description. Be sure to subscribe on your favorite podcast platform so you never miss an episode. Contact us to learn how to launch your own AI-generated podcast at nitromarketing.com. That's NYTRO marketing.com. See you tomorrow for more AI and tech news.